All right, moving on to our last and final calibration, we will be calibrating for DO. It's important to note for the 0-point calibration for DO, you will be calibrating for percent DO, but the number that you will be writing down on the calibration sheet is from MGL DO. So that number that you're writing down on your calibration sheet should be 2 decimals and not just 1. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that's something that I see a lot of mistakes of. So for the DO solution, you will be getting a bottle, and it'll basically have this like powder down at the bottom. In order to create the DO solution, you're going to take DI water and you're going to pour it inside the cup, and you're going to pour it like slowly, and you're going to kind of tilt it so that no air bubbles get in, because remember we're calibrating for 0% DO, so we don't want to agitate anything or introduce any air bubbles into the solution. And then after you pour the water in, you're going to close the lid and you're going to gently like swivel the bottle back and forth and like rotate it until all the solution dissolves. Pro tip, it's a lot better to do this like the night before you go out for an event, or like if you have an event starting Monday, I like to fill up all these bottles the Friday that the equipment gets delivered, just because when it's really cold out, the solution can take a long time to dissolve, and then you're sitting there waiting and you might not get a proper calibration as well if you do it the morning of. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we already filled it up and we rotated it and dissolved the solution. And for this, we're going to put the Hariva back in its protective case, because when we were doing all of the other calibrations, except for the 0.00 conductivity, the DO reader on the probe was in between that like clear plastic part on the plastic tubing the plastic cup and the black cup. But since we're calibrating for DO now, we really want the solution to be touching that probe. And so we're going to put it back inside its protective case, and then we're going to put it back into only the black cup, and we'll take the solution and we will fill it all the way up to the top. And something that I like to do is like kind of jiggling around the Hariva in it, just kind of making sure that the DO sensor is like actually fully saturated with the solution. And then from there, we're just going to wait for the MGL and the percent DO to come down. I wait until the MGO is below the threshold that we need it to be, which is 0.30. And once I see that the DO is below 0.30, I will write that number down. And then we'll hit the cal button, manual cal, and then we'll go to percent DO, and we will hit enter. It's a 2-point calibration, and we will calibrate to 0.0.